Everyone, thanks for listening and welcome to my YouTube channel. The purpose of my channel is to help its listeners know what the logical outcome is of their beliefs, so I do not introduce new beliefs. What I do is to show the outcome of what we already believe through logic and reasoning. Specifically, the subject of these videos is the cosmological argument, which discusses how the universe came to be. As I mentioned, I use reasoning and logic a lot, which isn't familiar to everyone. So before we begin, I'd like to briefly explain some of the basics of logic. The main type of logic that is used in these videos is called deductive reasoning. Deductive reasoning is reasoning whose conclusion must be true if its premises are true. Therefore, the only way to disprove a conclusion that comes from deductive reasoning is to disprove one of its underlying premises. Our first format of deductive reasoning starts with premise 1, which states that if A is true, then B is also true. If I substitute A for I am at home and B for the lights are on, then premise 1 would state that if I am at home, then the lights are on. Premise 2 states that B is not true, so the lights are not on. The conclusion of premises 1 and 2 is that A is not true, which in this case is that I am not at home. If every time I am at home the lights are on and the lights are not on, then I cannot be at home. For format 2, premise 1 states that if A is true, then B is true. So if I am at home, then the lights are on. Premise 2 states that if B is true, then C is true. So let's say that if the lights are on, then electricity is being used. The conclusion of these two premises is that if A is true, then C is true. So if I am at home, then electricity is being used. Now imagine that I added a third premise to the end of this that stated C is not true, so no electricity is being used. Then, according to our first format of logic, that would make A not true, so I am not at home. For format 3, premise 1 states if A is true, then B is true. Premise 2 states that A is true, so I am at home. The conclusion is that B is true, so therefore the lights must be on. A quick note is that one or two of the conclusions in these videos are supported by scientific evidence, which makes those conclusions not deductive. This is a format that these videos will take. We have premise 1 leading to premise 2, which leads to the existence of something that must have certain attributes, which are used to make our conclusion. The reason I included this is because in philosophy, it's super easy to lose sight of the big picture. So that doesn't happen, after each step in my reasoning, I'll show an updated version of this diagram. So that's the end of part 1. In part 2, we will fill out premises 1 and 2 of this diagram.